YouTube, it's Chelzor Destroyer, and we are gonna watch Jocat's first trip to Japan. It's Jocat's story time. So grab your snackies, grab your bubbies, let me know what you're eating or drinking down below. I'm eating nachos, so you might hear some crunch. I'm so sorry. Now let's get to watching. Hello.
I want to tell you a story about my first trip to Japan.
Okay. Let's do it. Chat, let me know if it's too loud. Okay. Does anybody else do this? If I'm not like actively watching something, I keep it on like the little plane icon to see where I am. A little loud? Okay. Let me know if that's better.
So Echo and I always wanted to go. Her as someone who potentially wants to live there one day, and me as someone who always wanted to see what the culture was about. Though I had
I'm just a weeb.
flown internationally before, this would be my first time in almost a decade since the last time I did. Combined with the fact that I am growing a developing hatred towards flying, I was prepared for 15 hours of dread. And it was dreadful.
It can be a little rough. The only reason, like, I have credit cards that is connected to like airlines, and so I get a lot of airline points. Like, I have stupid amounts of airline points, so I get to fly mostly for free, and that's pretty nice.
I'm someone who cannot sleep unless they're laying down, so the entire flight was just me adjusting and readjusting my position to try and get just a little bit of shut-eye, with zero luck. But thankfully, when it was finally over, I had a lot of fun to look forward to. Right after we get through customs, and grab our train cards, and Wi-Fi box, and cash, and drag our very heavy bags through the city to our Airbnb.
So like, oh, Haneda, yes! Okay. So, I take Benadryl. I also have some anxiety medicine that helps knock me out, and some nausea medicine that helps knock me out because I get motion sickness now on planes. So like, I take medicine to help me sleep on planes. So, but I get what he's talking about. It can be really rough. Haneda, so there's two airports in Tokyo that you can go into. It's Haneda and Narita. I really like Haneda's airport. It's like a smaller airport, so it is harder to get planes in depending on which like airline you're flying with. But Haneda's a lot closer to the city, so I like it a lot more.
The flight arrived at about 4 p.m., but we didn't
So this is like Tokyo.
make it to the place we were staying at until nearly 9. Most of the time we had spent waiting in line for our train cards, since there was only one terminal for basically everyone at the airport. This was because there was a chip shortage for the Suica cards that let you use the public transit in Tokyo, and the only ones available were the Welcome Suica cards, which only lasted 28 days. But that was
Oh, that sucks. I have a Passmo. I don't have Suica. I have Passmo. But also, if you have an iPhone, you can just load them up into your wallet. You don't have to. You can have a virtual one. You don't have to have a physical card. But also, the physical card one is just like a nice little souvenir to have that you can have at like take home with you. So there is that. Also, he's probably gonna go into it. There are different like options for getting your luggage from the airport to wherever you're staying. But with Airbnbs, it's a little tricky because like there's not like a quote unquote front desk they can leave stuff at. So, but if you're staying at like a hotel or like a Ryokan or something like that, they can ship you. There's like a shipping service. They can ship your bags to your hotel for you, so you don't have to like drag them around. But again, if it's Airbnb, it's a little. I've not used this service. I've become aware of this service. Usually I stay in Airbnbs though, so it doesn't really work out for me either.
fine, because that's about how long we were going to stay. After all that was done, we finally made it.
Wait, what did
was
that
fine
say?
because that's about
On our last day, our cards expired, and we needed to get single-use tickets to get around. That is also a thing you can do.
About how long we were going to stay. After all that was done, we finally made it to our home base for the month, an apartment in Sumida City. And also by a very convenient Lawson, of which we would visit near daily whenever we would need a quick meal.
Hell yeah, Lawson's #1. I don't care. There's like, oh, I like 7-Eleven. I like Family Mart. I love Lawson. I love their chicken nuggies. They're my favorite.
Thank you, Lawson employees. You are our heroes. So, here we were, finally in Japan. We chose Tokyo because it's the most foreigner-friendly, a nice baby's first Japan location. Especially considering Echo is still learning the language, and I know little to none of that language.
They're so cute.
I can speak Thai though. แต่ว่าผมลืมภาษาไทยไปตั้งเยอะแล้วก็พูดเหมือนฝรั่ง There's a lot of English translations around for signage, but most impressively, the public transit was so easy to understand that as far as getting around goes, we had basically no problems finding our way around the city.
It is so easy to use their train stations. Like, first of all, everything became more foreigner friendly because they did just host the Olympics like a couple of years ago, and everything became more foreigner friendly. More and more places now accept credit cards when before most places were cash only. So it's very like accessible now, I guess, to foreigners. Also, the train systems are really easy to understand. Like, I never figured out, like, I've been to Paris, never figured out their train system. Kept having to use like Google Maps or whatever. But you can you can ask the train attendant for an English map. If there's not an English train map just available, you can ask them for one. And they will just give you one. But also, it's just like, everything is in English. And you can just easily, like, there's like maps on the walls. So you can like look and see where you need to go. And it's really, really great.
So, what did we do on our first day in this new foreign country to us, ripe with centuries of culture and dozens of fun new things to do? Against the recommendations of a good friend of ours, and basically everyone else who's ever been to Japan, we went to Kura Sushi. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I've never been there. I don't eat sushi, so... Or maybe I have. Is it a chain? I might have been. If it was in a mall in Odaiba's mall, I've been there. It's a chain. Because they have like the specific like egg sushi thing that one of my friends is able to eat. For me, I always just get karage, which is fried chicken. Because I don't eat sushi, so that's funny.
In our defense, we don't have a Kura Sushi anywhere where we live in the US without having to fly to another state. And if we're gonna take in what Japan has to offer, why not their equivalent of a McDonald's, right? On top of that, it also had the benefit of allowing people to order food without having to talk to anybody, which is great for nervous foreigners with the language barrier who don't want to accidentally inconvenience anybody. Echo tried a lot of stuff. I mostly had the meat. Oh, and also, every 5 plates, you get a chance to win a Gachapon, of which I won on my first try. The rest of the day, we planned on getting a few things from Daiso and...
Okay, so I have not been here. I have been to a revolving sushi place that was in a mall, but it was not here.
Golf Plus, in a sort of shopping district in Ueno. Or maybe Ueno
What is going on with this guy? What is...
Plus, in a sort of...
Daiso's great. Apparently Atlanta and Montgomery, Alabama, and somewhere else is getting a Daiso here in the States, which is great. But what's up with this guy? Who is this? Is this a reference to somebody? Who is he?
Of shopping district in Ueno. Or maybe Ueno is the shopping district? I don't know. But it was a really nice place. Just about every few feet, there was a store that caught our eye. We even found a nice clothing store where I got this cute, cozy sweater that looks like low-level RPG gear. And it helped keep me warm the entire trip. Speaking of which, I wish I could show you the absolute amazing fashion that was on display in some of these clothing stores. If it weren't for our budget, I would have personally gotten about a dozen outfits. Fun situation that happened while we were out. I was feeling thirsty at one point, so we stopped by a convenience store to grab something to drink. I found a can of lemon water that looked pretty refreshing.
Yakitori, thank you for the raid. Hello, how's it going?
So we bought it, found a nice spot to sit and refresh ourselves, and went about our way in more of the shopping district. But then I started to feel a bit woozy.
Uh-oh. Oh, no! Oh! No, it was alcohol! So... From my understanding, when I've noticed, I've never accidentally gotten alcohol, but like a lot of times the alcohol is set separately, but I don't know. Lord Touch, thank you for the raid.
I had a look over my drink, and it turns out it was alcoholic, and I hadn't even noticed. Now, being a little tipsy in public,
I'm sorry, Jocat's little like drawings and stuff are really cute.
Was not a big deal. But what was of note is that I had finally found an alcoholic drink that I liked. Some of you may remember I did a few drunk gaming streams in the past with my friends, and know that I usually can't even stomach a few sips, let alone the chugs I was taking for the stream. So this was a big deal to me. It may come as no surprise to people who remember those streams as well that I am a huge lightweight. So even this little drink with 5% alcohol content was giving me red flush and a warm, cozy feeling.
How do you accidentally buy alcohol? Because you can't read what it says, and so you're going based on the picture of the can on the can, and it's like, okay, it's like it's got a lemon on it, so it's lemon flavored, like it looks like water or whatever, and it turns out it was not water.
The next day, we did a bit more aimless exploring just to get a bit more of our bearings around the immediate area, and somehow accidentally found ourselves at the Tokyo Skytree, of all places.
Tokyo Skytree is pretty cool.
It's not like it was all that far from our Airbnb, but it was still a pleasant surprise to land there without really meaning to. And inside was a lot of cool stores and food stands. But
oh, that's Joel? Porcelain Maid. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this guy is. But that's Porcelain Maid. I recognize this one!
But most importantly, and most...
Oh, yeah. So... there's also like I think there's an aquarium here at Skytree or close by, I think.
Most dangerously, Gachapon machines.
I was hoping he was going to say, there's a really good Ghibli store. Because like Skytree, where it is, there's like a shopping center like around it. There's a bunch of stores like around it, or like you go down the escalator and there's like a bunch of shops and stuff. I bought like really neat umbrellas in one of the shops, like... there's a bunch of clothes. There's a really, really cool Ghibli store with a lot of stuff that I have spent a lot of money at, and I have gone to multiple times. I will go out of my way for that Ghibli store. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Y'all are weak to Gachapon, huh? Can't relate.
They're literally all over Tokyo. In fact, on our way through some of the subway stations, we came across dozens.
Yep.
But here they were, stacks upon stacks of them, much to the dismay of our wallets. Luckily, we were able to hold some sense of impulse control, but from that point on, Echo devised a plan and began saving our 100 yen coins in a very, very special little pouch.
So this is what I do with Gachapon machines. I will go through, because I always want at least one Gachapon thing, but it's like, if I am not okay with getting any singular thing in that machine, I am not going to buy it. Like, I'm not going to spend my money on it because they're not cheap. They're not like this one is like 500 yen. So like, they're not that cheap, right? So I would be like, and 500 yen is like standard. There's more expensive ones too. It's rare to find ones that are less expensive than 500. So like, I'd be like, I have to be okay with getting anything from this, like pulling anything. I have to be okay with like pulling anything from this, or I cannot put my money in it. That is how I protect myself from Gachapon. 100 yen is no longer all that common, because like the last time I was there, like I looked for 100 yen ones, and they were pretty rare.
Echo also secretly got me a bunch of probably the biggest grapes I have ever seen in my life. See, we had decided to come to Japan in October because that would be the time when it'd be both grape season and persimmon season. Echo was interested in the latter fruits, whereas I don't like grapes, but I do love grape flavors. It's definitely one of my favorite fruit flavors. And in America, there's this one drink that I really like to get whenever we go to our local Asian market. Ramune. And they had a grape flavor that I love.
Not this one? Is that the strawberry one or whatever? It's like, no.
I also love this candy that could be found in the same store called Haichu.
Okay, Haichu tastes like closer to actual grapes. It does not taste like purple. The Haichu grapes do not taste like purple. It confused my brain when I tried it.
And so, for a long time I wondered, a lot of Japanese grape flavored things sort of taste similar. Do grapes just taste different in Japan? So, this was my chance to finally see if I might like Japanese grapes more than American grapes.
I believe these are Concord grapes. Is that what they're called? It's a different type of grape from the one that we have in America. Better than American grapes or about the same, neutral? Still not a fruit guy?
I'm sorry.
I will happily eat them. I'm excited.
Alas, I guess I just don't like grapes.
What does purple taste like? Okay. All right. So anytime you buy something that is grape flavored, very specifically like medications, but like sometimes candies and stuff like that, and you buy, and it's like, it's always purple, right? That does not taste like grape. You're like, this is, whoever made this flavor has never had a grape before in their life. Because this is not what grapes taste like. But it's purple. So what is the flavor purple? So like, imaginary flavor. Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is not what grapes taste like. So I'm like, oh, it tastes like purple. In Alabama, we have a drink that is only available in Alabama. It's called Grapico. If you want to try it, you can get it online. I think you can get it on Amazon. You are going to pay a lot of money for it. I'm sorry. But there's this sparkling grape, quote unquote, soda called Grapico here in Alabama. It's one of my like favorites growing up or whatever. It tastes like purple. It does not taste like grape at all. It tastes like the color purple. It tastes like that purple like flavor additive that is in anything that is supposedly grape flavored here in the US. So that's what I mean when I'm like, oh, it does not taste like purple. It tastes like actual grapes, or like this tastes like purple, because it's not. It's that purple stuff from Sunny D commercials, because that's not what grape tastes like.
The next couple of days, we decided to rest up and do some work in our apartment because, yay, being a YouTuber means you are never truly free. But that evening, we did go to what I personally consider to be one of my favorite places to go in that entire trip, a local Yakitori izakaya, a bar that serves grilled meat on little bamboo skewers. The food was great. The drinks were great. I even found another alcoholic beverage that I enjoyed, so that was another win. But the thing I liked most about it was the manager, who was incredibly patient and accommodating to us from the instant we stepped in. It was probably pretty obvious to him that we were tourists, so even though we could not speak a word of each other's language, he was nice enough to gesture to us each part of the bar for us to understand the regular procedure. Use the hand sanitizer, pick a seat that leaves room for others, order a drink before you order food. But coolest of all, he would point to each item on the menu, which did not have an English translation, and taught us how to read and pronounce each item, including pointing to the display as to which one each item corresponded to. I don't know if this was just because we were foreigners or if it was just standard procedure there, but he would regularly check up on us to make sure everything was good on our end. And if that wasn't cool enough, at one point, Echo had decided to translate the menu for my convenience because unga bunga stupid American brain not knowing another language. But one...
Oh wait, no, I wanted to read that. Hold on. Go back. Duck? They just had duck? Crazy. Skirt steak? Oh yeah. Chicken neck. Chicken kneecaps. I don't think I've ever had that. Chicken cartilage. Chicken skin! Oh, chicken skin is so good. Chicken wing, chicken tenderloin, chicken thigh and leek. Gizzards, chicken heart. Chicken heart base, chicken something else. Chicken tail, chicken liver. I want to go to this place. I love yakitori. I love it.
But one day, we had come home from that restaurant, and I had lost the menu, which really sucked. Echo put a lot of work into that thing. But then, when we returned to the yakitori place, it turns out the manager had found and kept Echo's translated menu and held onto it for us. This man single-handedly watered my crops, cleared my skin, and cured my depression. I love him.
Aww. Yay.
Another work day, so nothing interesting going on, but what was important was that today was Burnable Trash Day. If you're not familiar, Japan has a very specific method of how they do waste disposal.
Yep.
And it's your responsibility to categorize your trash. Sure, they have sanitation workers pick up the garbage like normal, but it's your job to make sure the right trash is stored correctly and in the right place. In America,
So, in Japan, like I said, the last few times I've gone, like the last time I went, I stayed in an actual hotel, but like I've stayed in like Airbnbs mostly. It can be really confusing, the trash thing, because they always have like little like signage up. But I'm always like, how do you sort this without having like 5 different trash cans? Like there's only ever 2 trash cans available, but they have different things that go out on different days. So I'm like, I need more than 2. Like I don't understand. Please, how do you not have like 5 different trash? First of all, I live in America. I have 5 different trash cans just in my house, okay? Because, like, you know, do things that make your life a little easier. And if that's like, hey, I'm going to clean more if I can look over and see a trash can. I'm going to throw my stuff away closer. Like, that's fine. And also, I have, like, a recycling bin. But, like, still, like, please. Like, I need help. Like, I need more trash cans than this.
we only really have trash and recyclables. That is, unless your local government decides to take the recycling bin away and make you drive all the way to the recycling center. But anyway, you usually just kind of throw everything in one place.
Yep.
Not so in Japan. To keep things simple, there are really 2 main umbrellas that all trash falls under in Japan. Burnables and recyclables. Easy enough, just like the States. But with the recyclables, you have to separate them and store them a certain way for trash pickup, like bundling papers together, putting metal cans all in the same bag, cleaning out any reusable cups so there aren't any food bits left in it,
You also have to clean out burnable containers as well.
and the like. It was a very different way of doing things than Echo and I were used to, so it took a bit of time to figure out, but once we did, it was kind of nice knowing that our trash was going to the right places.
Sometimes, like, I would contact the owner, host, whatever, of the Airbnb, and I'd be like, hey, so for trash, blah, blah, blah. And they would be like, don't throw anything away. If you throw it away wrong, we get fined. Just leave it. I will clean it later. And I'm like, I'm here for 2 weeks. I mean, I can figure it out. You could just tell me what to do. And, like, they're like, I don't. And I'm like, okay. Like, sure, I will just bag things in the corner, I guess.
Today was our first day of special plans.
Ooh.
DisneySea.
Nice, yes. Me pausing a lot. I know you guys love that about me. Last time I went to Tokyo Disneyland. I have been to DisneySea, but like I went to Tokyo Disneyland because I was only gonna go to one park. And Tokyo Disneyland has a lot of like really good, like amazing parades. It has 2 parades. It has like a daytime one and like a nighttime one. And like all the parades kept getting rained out and I was kind of bummed about it. It was like rainy. I was like, damn. It's still a good time though.
It was one of the first available things we could book, and thankfully it wasn't all that busy that day, so we never really had to worry about crowds or too long of lines. I think it was a bit more of a park than a theme park, as me and Echo spent a lot of time just sort of walking around since the rides were fairly far apart. We only really got to ride like 4 rides before deciding to call it a day, which we were overall fine with, but...
Y'all are weak. I would have ridden every fucking ride. Y'all are weak.
Me personally, I just wish there were more rides for the size of the park, or if the park was a little smaller so there wasn't so much walking needed between them. We also grabbed a few souvenirs for some friends.
Thank you for bringing me to France.
Yeah, we'll have to check for bedbugs later.
Okay.
Not a lot happened this day. I mostly stayed in and near our Airbnb to sort of rest up after going to the Disney park yesterday, while Echo had a girl day where she went to Tobu and got some cakes. She actually did quite a few girl days on our trip, and if you want to hear about those, feel free to subscribe to her channel where she'll tell you all about it. For me though, it was nice to just have a rest day where I could wander and take in the local area where we were staying, especially with how convenient the public transportation is. Okay, speaking of, can I just talk about the public transportation really quick?
Because it's amazing.
Because I think that was probably my single most favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I power walk a lot of places, specifically in Disney. But even in like other Disney places, like yes, I power walk from place to place. Uh, and it's like, and I do it with like resting bitch face. Like I'm like, and I don't mean to do it, but like I'm just like I am on a mission to get to this location, and so like I apparently look pretty intense when I'm like very like intently going somewhere. So you're not wrong
about staying in Japan, or at least in Tokyo. The fact that there are trains and buses everywhere that help you get where you need to go, and how it makes just about everything within walking distance. Sure, there are roads and stuff in the larger parts of the city where having a car would definitely be beneficial, but me and Echo never had to step foot in a single car the whole trip, save for once. In America, there are very few places where we have things like trains and bus stops. They exist, but really you'll only ever find them in certain very dense cities that have been around since the colonial era. And even then, a lot of them get replaced by roads and highways. To get anywhere in America, you need a car, full stop. And yeah, there have been attempts to add in more public transportation, but for some reason, it never really took off, and it's a real mystery why. No one truly knows. It's a big mystery, really. But in Japan,
I know that was sarcasm, but the answer is the automotive industry anyway.
or at least in Tokyo, you can get just about anywhere on foot. There are train stations at just about every other block, and navigating them is so simple and easy to understand that children can use it, and do. Whenever we would go somewhere, me and Echo would occasionally see a kid, no older than 10, get on the train all by themselves with no parents or escort or anything.
There was one time, I think it was near Tokyo Tower. I think the first time I went to Tokyo Tower, which was I think maybe my first or second trip to Japan. Japan's like a pretty safe place for like kids or whatever, so it's like this is normal for them. But like my hair was like bright blonde at the time because I had like bleached it and dyed it and like all this other stuff. In Japan, there were like these little kids. There was like a little, I guess, class of like little kids, and they had like their teacher or an adult with them or whatever. And they all looked at me. They saw me and they were like, oh, Gaijin! And like pointed at me. like they pointed at me and were like, foreigner! And I was like, I mean, they're right though. Like, what can I say? They are correct.
They just know how to use the trains and buses. It was especially helpful that all the signage was super foreigner friendly, since Tokyo had just recently renovated the city to be foreigner friendly. For the 2020 Olympics, it was supposed to host before the... Yeah. What made the whole thing even more fun was that at about every station, there are desks with stamps for that station, and each stamp had a different design.
I need to get a stamp book, and I need to like collect stamps next time I go.
And so it was my and Echo's mission to get a stamp at any new station we stopped at whenever possible. We even got these cute little sketchbooks from one of the stores at the Skytree that we would put them in. Echo's is a lot fancier than mine because she would draw cute little doodles to represent what nearby attractions and things were at that station, and what we did there. But all this to say, if there was one thing I could bring home from Japan to the US, it would be the train system. Please, please, God, please, I just want trains, please, please, no! The next 4 days, we didn't really do anything special. Spent it mostly just living in Japan. We'd do work during the day, head out to grab lunch at noon, maybe explore a bit of the city, come back to do more work, go out for dinner, maybe get distracted by an arcade for an hour or 3, check out some convenies and grab snacks, then come back and get ready for the next day. It was kind of nice to just wind down and take it all in. I know to a lot of folk that might sound like we were wasting our vacation days, but I don't know. Having to do...
Like, one of Ray's favorite things to do on vacation is literally just like sit at a cafe somewhere and just like let the world go by. Like to absolutely chill. So like, if like that's what you want to do, I was more chill the last time I went to Japan because it was like, I'd been there multiple times. So it's like, yeah, I could just take my time and chill and walk around and wander around and like not worry as much because I've only ever been to Tokyo and I've been to Tokyo multiple times. So it was like, it's okay. I don't necessarily have to go to certain like big sites. I can literally just go to a park and hang out in a park and like go to like a little bakery and grab some stuff for lunch and take it to a park and eat it in the park and just relax and look at the freaking cherry blossom trees or whatever. It's nice. Like sometimes that's what you want to do. If you just want to chill and like absorb like the vibes of the place that you're in, that's fine.
Something exciting and having a strict schedule every day during a time that you're supposed to be spent relaxing doesn't sound all that enjoyable to me. Now, not everyone is able to spend a month on vacation, whether it be because they can't afford it or their schedule doesn't allow it. So I hope this doesn't come across like I'm saying the way we did it is the best way for everyone. But we did plan for a whole month specifically because we like having days where nothing's scheduled and we can just sort of go about doing whatever we want without having to worry that we weren't maximizing our vacation time. Plus, we did sort of have something special to do most of the days, as Echo scheduled while I sat sucking my thumb in the corner because planning things is scary and I'm just a little guy. It's my first day. So we did at least have variety, not just constantly on mandatory fun mode. If anyone has ever had helicopter parents, you know what I mean by mandatory fun. This day we planned to go to the Book Off Super Bazaar because I needed a second monitor to facilitate my work. See, I normally would bring my own monitor, but I've had nasty luck with every single time I fly with one. Doesn't matter how padded or protected it is, the airline will always manage to break or bend my stuff. So this time, I said, no more packing monitors. I'll just get one in Japan. And so we did. Book Off is basically a massive secondhand store with just about everything you can think of inside. Yeah. From clothes, to bags, to musical instruments, to sporting equipment. It's got everything.
To anime shit. Ask me how I know. Figures, posters, wall scrolls. Other things.
We even found a few Pokemon plushes to bring home for some friends. What wasn't so great about it was that while we were browsing, we had a basket with a few items already, and at some point we accidentally crossed a section where that item was supposed to be stored in. And so it began beeping its alarm non-stop until an employee found us asking if we were going to buy it. In which case, we confirmed, apologized profusely, and immediately checked out so as to never bother them ever again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a beignet.
Oh, it's like a beignet.
Today was a special day. We were going to the Pokemon Center because I had planned on grabbing a bunch of plushies to give to friends back home since there's so many Pokemon and they're not always so easily available to buy if you're in the US. And in the cases where they are...
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really cool to see all the Pokemon merchandising. They had keychains and stickers and jewelry and dozens of other things I hadn't realized were even in the realm of possibility of what Pokemon could make into a branded product.
Also, the Pokemon store is often next to the Nintendo store, and then the Nintendo store has Splatoon merch. I bought the starting t-shirt from Splatoon 3 at the Nintendo store, and I wear it often. So, yeah.
What I really appreciated as someone who plays the games,
Was
though,
there Jaden
Pokemon,
in the background?
dozens of other things I had.
Where?
Anyway, it was really cool to see all the Pokemon merchandising. They had keychains and stickers and jewelry and dozens of other things I hadn't realized were even in the realm of possibility of what Pokemon could make into a branded product. What I really appreciated as someone who plays the games, though, was that the front of the store had a nice little mural with all the different generations of games being showcased. What wasn't so nice was they had Pikachu singing the Pokemon Center theme on repeat the entire time. And my heart goes out to all the employees who have to listen to it for 8+ hours a day, every day, all the time. At one point, it started to really get to us, and Echo started punching me in rhythm to the Pikachu cries. I don't get it. Pokemon has a massive library of music. Please, just let the employees listen to something else. Free them from this yellow...
They probably do just kind of tone it out after a while.
Electric rat prison.
It's so funny.
The next few days were what I was personally looking forward to the most from this trip, because they were lined with visits to a bunch of themed cafes. 2 of them being themed after my favorite video games, you may know of them. Today though, it was the Final Fantasy XIV Eorzea Cafe in Akihabara. Funny enough, the very same building also had a Dragon Quest cafe and one more themed cafe that we were going to tomorrow. But what really made this special was that we had the collab cafe queen herself, Emi Richu, with us too.
Hey!
She had already been to this cafe before, but being a 14 player, I was ready to drop some sick lore onto her ignorant mind.
I have played 14 once. I'm not really into it. That's fine, because, I don't know, it was a lot. And I have trouble getting into, like, games like that, but that's fine. I have been into the cafe not to eat, but to go to the store.
Tier 100 Emmy is Chelzor's VTuber sister, same VTuber mom.
Yeah, Emirichu is, her artist is the same as this model's artist, is Sasu. But, like, I went into the cafe just to go to the store to try to find something for John, because he was like, oh, you're going to Japan, could you go to this store or like the cafe or whatever and get this item? And I tried and they didn't have it. And so I went to 2 other Final Fantasy fucking store, like pop-up stores, and they didn't have it either. It was sold out everywhere. And I was like, bro, I go on like quote unquote scavenger hunts for friends in Japan all the time. Like every time I go to Japan, like a friend will reach out and be like, hey, if you find this item, could you buy it for me? And I will pay you back later. And usually I have pretty decent luck finding whatever the hell it is. I have failed twice. One for John with whatever this thing was, and then once for Zane, because Zane wanted something that was old. But still, like, I was so frustrated. I was like, I went into so many Final Fantasy related stores and places. Anyway.
The cafe itself was really cool. They had 14 music playing, which was always nice, and the walls were covered in various official art and props evoking the game. I ordered the Fired Dodo, which was basically a deep-fried chicken leg, and Hien's Big Blee acclaimed traditional cuisine of the Mole tribe. A bunch of sausages and some potato wedges in a cast iron skillet. It was alright.
Actually.
Echo and Emily each got a Fat Cat meat bun. Emily also ordered the Raktika Greatwood Ahilo, essentially a small shrimp ceviche.
Ceviche.
And all 3 of us shared a faux hollow chocolate toast, as well as the guild soaring cheese potatoes. Some cheese fries arranged like one of the attacks from the boss fight from Shadowbringers.
Yes.
The food was okay. My personal favorite were the fries, but the real stars of the show were the drinks, each one themed after a different character, location, or job from the game.
Can I be honest? I've been to a few like themed cafes. For the most part, as a picky eater, I'm usually not really into them. Like, I've gone to them a few times and it's like been fine. It's been like a fine experience. I'm not super into them though, to be honest with you. Sometimes they're really hard to get into as well. Like sometimes you have to try to make like a reservation, or they'll like be full or whatever. And that's fine, but like, I don't know. I understand why they're popular and I understand why people would go to it. And if I lived in Japan, I would probably try to do some of them more. But like, for me, I'm just kind of like, it's fine. Like, it's neat. And there is some cafe, like, limited edition, like, cafe only, like, items that you can buy. But a lot of times they're, like, tied into the cafe in some kind of way. And so I'm like, I care less, I guess. But this is just me and my stupid opinion.
in really clever ways too. I got the Gunbreaker and Crystal Tower. Echo got the White Mage and Crystal Tower. Emily got the Samurai and Dragoon, and each one was super cool and unique in how they were themed around their namesake. The Crystal Tower, for example, had this rock candy pillar sticking out of the drink, just like the tower itself. The Gunbreaker had popping candies that you could throw into the drink, like how Gunbreakers load cartridges into their gunblade. The White Mage had a cute little rose representing the blood lily you use to devastate all within your path. Samurai was basic and boring, just like the job in the game. But my favorite was the Dragoon, where you had a blueberry soaking in cherry syrup to represent the accursed eye of Nidhogg. And I was basically nerding out about all of this at both Echo and Emily the whole time we were eating. Each drink also came with some mystery coasters as well, which had extremely nice promotional art from the various characters, expansions, patches, and events from the game. Now, Emily had already been to this cafe before, but it was real fun as a person who actually plays the game to be able to share how much thought and fan service went into all the dishes and drinks in order to elevate them beyond just being named after their subjects. If you want to see her review as a connoisseur of themed cafes, she actually did a video that included Eorzea Cafe, which you can find here in case you wanted to know her perspective as a general customer. As for me though, I am extremely biased due to being a big fan of the game, so I absolutely loved it. Even so, I think it's very clear that a lot of love, effort, and expertise went into making this, not just as a good cafe on its own, but as a good piece of 14 fan service as well. And after we finished eating, Echo and Emily fought in a great battle to the death on who would pay for the check. We ultimately came out on top due to our superior numbers. And then was time for the gift shop, which had all manner of great merchandise. There were jobstone magnets and posters and plushies.
It was a jobstone. It was a jobstone, but it wasn't like a magnet. It was like this, I don't know. It was like a crystal or something. I don't know.
Sorts of stuff. I grabbed a bunch of jobstones for my friends and raid group. Shout out to the Glam Walkers. Thank you for being the coolest, most attractive bunch of players I could ever ask to raid with. But what really caught my eye were two beautiful lore books. The first and second edition of the Encyclopedia Eorzea. Volumes of information about the 14 world, including its history, cultures, down to minute details like each region's diet, and this stuff is like drugs to me, so I had to get them. It was only when I unwrapped and opened one later that day that I had realized the very stupid, and in hindsight, very obvious mistake that I had made. I had just bought a lore book of a Japanese game from a Japanese cafe in Japan. What language did I think it was going to be in? They sadly didn't do refunds, which was fine, but it meant I had these massive books that I could not read because I'm stupid. I eventually gave them to my good friend Shenpai when we got home, but until then, I had two heavy, physical hardcover copies of Shame to lug halfway across the planet as a constant reminder of my hubris. After the cafe, though, we had a fun time exploring Akihabara. Mostly playing at the arcades and spending a lot of change we had saved up over the past couple of weeks.
It is, it's like very specifically a Final Fantasy 14 cafe, I'm pretty sure.
So, this day was a bit hectic.
And I say that because I like Final Fantasy 8, and they didn't have anything at the cafe for 8. It's literally like Final Fantasy 14. Some of the other like Final Fantasy like pop-up stores will have some stuff from some other games, but the shining star of all of them is 100% 14, which is fine.
But it was the nature of reserving spots for themed cafes. You'll know what I mean soon. First up on the agenda was the Monster Hunter Cafe, in the very exact same building as the Final Fantasy one. And Emily was happy to join us for this one too. And much as I love the Final Fantasy Cafe, and it was definitely impressive and kitted out, the Monster Hunter Cafe is the absolute pinnacle of what you can do with the idea. The venue was bigger, they had more seating space, there were way more and larger decorations all over the place, weapons and armor displayed everywhere. They even had a barbecue spit. Listen, I'm not saying the Final Fantasy Cafe wasn't a 5 out of 5. What I am saying is the Monster Hunter Cafe is a 6 out of 5. As for the food, Emily and I both ordered the Teostra Fire Mappo Chicken Katsudon, served with rice and curry. And I got what I believe to be mandatory for every hunter, the expertly cooked bone and meat. Yep, it's the well-done steak.
So tasty!
Echo got the smoked salmon carpaccio, which was themed as an Arzuros' favorite food, and the Yomogi's special bunny dango. It's dango. For drinks, I ordered the Mega Potion, which was a citrusy drink representing the main potion with additional syrups you could mix in, possibly to stand in for the buffing potions like hot and cold drinks or armor skin from the game. I personally only really added in the blue syrup, which was blue syrup according to the menu,
Which was blue.
whatever that means. The other two were not my cup of tea. Emily got the Ray's Wing Ratha, which was a strawberry soda with cola popping candy and more of that mysterious blue syrup, while Echo had the Kagero Violet Tea, an iced tea with soda and violet syrup. I still had room for food, but withheld because we had plans to go to another cafe soon after this one. Why? I'll get to it. But Echo was ballsy enough to order a dessert because she has a sweet tooth that must be sated or else she'll explode. So
That's
she
fair.
got the Kirin Lightning Strike Parfait G, which is the G rank version of a much smaller, inferior parfait, I presume. Funny enough, it had the exact same kind of rock candy that was used in the Crystal Tower drink from the Eorzea Cafe. Thusly, I conclude that the Crystal Tower is a massive Kirin horn and that one day Eorzea will face a very rude awakening when they find the ginormous horse buried under Mordona. Overall, this cafe was amazing, and I
Words.
actually have a hard time deciding if I like it more than the Eorzea Cafe. The presentation was definitely a step up, but it's not like the Eorzea Cafe was lacking in the visual department. If I had to pick a favorite, I think Eorzea just about beats it out on account that I think I preferred the food and drinks on their menu just a bit more than the Monster Hunter one.
So I feel like I could eat more at the Aori, the Final Fantasy one, as opposed to the Monster Hunter one. I could maybe eat this, but the fact that it's sitting on like, I don't know if that's ketchup. I don't know what this is. But I could probably eat like the meat. I'm a little concerned about this because again, I'm not sure what it is. It could just be like tomato puree. Who knows? I would have trouble eating here.
The steak was middling, and the chicken katsu, although good, I feel I could get chicken katsu like it anywhere. So why was I saving my appetite? Well,
I mean, you're really there mostly for like the ambiance and like probably kind of like the little drink mixes. Like that's what you're mostly there for.
because an hour after our time at Monster Hunter was finished, we needed to get to the Kirby Cafe by the Sky Tree.
Oh, good luck.
Because that was literally the only time we were able to nab when reservations opened up. I remember staying up at 3 a.m. to help Echo book this thing and having 2 or 3 of our selections immediately getting snatched up by someone before we finally got one. We tried to book a 3-person seat so Emily could be included, but every single 3-person slot was booked immediately. And I mean immediately. Not to mention, you have to include your name in Japanese. So Echo and I were frantically trying to translate our names so that we could type it out in katakana. It was probably the most stress our relationship has ever been under. Thankfully, we did secure the spot, but the only time slot we could safely grab was unfortunately only 2 hours after the Monster Hunter Cafe, and we weren't able to include Emily, who is very understanding and didn't mind. Thank you for your sacrifice so that we could enjoy Kirby. So off we went, walking fast, curb-bound to the subway. On the bright side, the trip had very few to no interruptions, and we actually managed to make it there early. We got a seat inside not too long after, and this place, although small, was very cute. At the front, we got to take pictures with a giant plate while wielding a giant fork and spoon next to Chef Kirby and Waddle Dee, and decorating the center of the cafe was Wispy Woods, the most beat-up Kirby boss of all time. My favorite part of the cafe was the atmosphere. Some jazzy Kirby tracks were being played all the while we were there.
You just ask if Kirby is that popular. Yes, the answer is yes. Kirby is that popular. They have pop-up stores of Kirby stuff too. And have like stuff that I think it'll be like, here's like limited edition like Kirby Cafe items at this pop-up store because it's hard to get into the cafe.
For our meals, Echo ordered the
Okay. For that whole little thing, I could only have sound coming in to my right headphone, and I was like, are my headphones messed up? Why is it muted on one side? Freaked me out. I don't know if you guys heard that. It was weird. Hello, welcome, Warpig.
Waddle Dee lunchbox, which had a salmon and avocado rice bowl, while I had the Kirby lunchbox, which was another rice bowl, but with hamburger steaks and lots of veggies. I split it with Echo because I didn't quite like half the contents of the bowl, and I may not have been the only one because it's apparently a beef bowl now instead, which I would have much preferred. Thankfully, it wasn't the only thing I had to eat, as I ordered the Kirby burger that came with pasta and
A star hash brown tater tots. That's awesome. I love this. I don't care for this. I love this. Love these little potatoes. Abba, okay, welcome.
corn potash. The pasta and corn potash were good. The burger was not. The bun was, and the meat tasted dry. Echo said the salmon and avocado bowl was the best restaurant food she had ever had. But now, we faced a new problem. Having eaten at 2 cafes in just a few hours, we were stuffed. But Echo was determined to not leave until she had a dessert. We almost got the Kirby cake, but it was strawberry flavored, and I am not a fan, so Echo would have had to eat the whole thing herself, which was not happening. She got the Kirby's fluffy pancakes instead, which was still strawberry, but far more manageable for one person. I helped a bit with the sides though. Echo says it was okay, but no regrets. And then it was off to the gift shop, which had tons of adorable Kirby memorabilia. And most importantly, Kirby Gachapon. Overall, it was a pretty good cafe, but I feel the food, at least aside from a few standout dishes, could have been better. The change in menu items since we've been there probably indicates that they were thinking or being told the same thing. What else that was nice about the Kirby Cafe is that it was directly connected to the Skytree Mall, to the point the exit out of the gift shop leads directly into the mall itself. So we browsed the mall a bit, made some impulse purchases, walked off 2 cafes worth of food, and overall had a nice time out. Back-to-back experiences aside, I'm still glad we got to do them both.
I love the Skytree Mall. Like, there's a lot of really cool malls in Japan, and I like walking through them. Whether or not I end up buying stuff, I do end up buying stuff, but like, whether or not I do, irrelevant. They're really cool, just like kind of getting this vibe. They have like a lot of neat stuff. It's just fun to walk through.
At some point, while we were hanging out with Emily, there was a conversation along the lines of,
"Oh, Echo, you like Sanrio? Are you planning to visit the Cinnamoroll Cafe?"
There's a Cinnamoroll Cafe?
Well,
so today we went to the Cinnamoroll Cafe in the Shinjuku Mall. It was a walk-in, so no reservations needed. It was also fairly small, but not very packed, so we were able to get seating fairly quickly.
There's also like a difference of like some cafes going to be much more popular than others, especially like limited versus like non-limited. I guess permanent cafes are kind of different, but also if they're maybe not as popular, and depending on when you go, like sometimes you can just walk into cafes. I definitely walked into like a Full Metal Alchemist cafe, and like they told me to come back in like an hour or two. Like they were like, okay, we're full now. And then also it was like, it, instead of being like a restaurant where like you go in when there's a table, it's like, no, like we're going to fill up all of the tables and then it's going to start. And then like it's shut down after everybody leaves for cleaning. And then we reopen it and fill it again, if that makes sense. So it's like you can't come in halfway through, because everyone kind of orders and comes in at the same time, especially for like really small cafes. The one I went to was very small. But they were just like, cool, yeah, we have walk-in spots. You just have to come back because it's not open yet. And it was like, okay. So I did do that. So some of them are more easily gotten into than others.
All around the cafe were some cute little Cinnamoroll plushes, which gave me anxiety, considered there were some very stain-prone food around, and the boy's basically a canvas waiting to be painted on. Regardless, I got the spaghetti with meat sauce that was apparently a collaboration at the time with Totonu Konu, who is apparently a character from the manga Don't Call It a Mystery. I have no idea what the manga is about. I am only learning about this now as I am writing this script. Echo, meanwhile, got the blue curry in the sky, which was...
I hate it. I don't like it when food is like colored in weird ways. Like candy aside, like y'all remember like the Shrek ketchup that was either purple or green? It fucks with the consistency in my brain. I don't know. I just like I don't like the fact that it's blue curry. I'm like, I don't, that doesn't look appetizing to me. That looks poisonous. Like I don't know. That's just me. My ARFID, maybe, but like I don't like it. Like the consistency is always different, and also my brain goes, "That is poison. Do not put that in your mouth." Like
It's a pretty basic rice and curry dish with a few bits of meat thrown in. For drinks, I got some sort of blue drink of which I cannot for the life of me find what it was called, but I remember it being okay. While Echo got this mustache drink, the Vienne coffee. We also both got a dessert since we didn't really have anywhere else to be that day, so might as well. I got a stack of pancakes while Echo got a parfait. Basically, all the food at this cafe was really, really good, so props to the cooks.
There was an adorable little corner merch store that had a load of roll-themed items, and I had to hold Echo back from grabbing just about everything off of the shelves.
It was a humble little cafe that was nice enough to stop for food.
Oh, Iron Mouse.
Now, after we were done though, it was time for our special thing. So I mentioned earlier that Echo was collecting the 100 yen coins each time we got change. It wasn't just to make some of our transactions a nice even amount, although we did do that sometimes, but more specifically, to save them all for one.
Did you go to the largest Gachapon store? Because like I think it's like a Bandai one. There is like the largest Gachapon store.
One very important thing.
What is my purpose?
Gachapon. Let's go!
Dun, 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 dun.
Today was our designated Gachapon day, where we would be spending pretty much all of our saved up change. About 20,000 yen's worth. Half of the day was dedicated to feeding Gachapon machines and collecting their precious little toy poops. We were ecologists on the hunt, and our quarry was a wilderness of plastic. We bounced around both the Shinjuku Mall and the arcades in Akihabara, basically until there were no more machines.
So, like, 27,000. The easiest way to compute it back in the day was to drop the last two zeros. So it would be like $270, except the yen is weak. So it was like, I don't know, whatever amount they had, they said it was like $130. So the yen currently is weak right now. How I just, quote unquote, easy math, like I dropped two zeros, which again is not correct right now, but like that's how I always did it. So it's like, okay, so it's $27,000 or 27,000 yen. So it's like $270. Except it's again, not now. But like, that's just, if I'm not willing to spend that amount of money, like 270, do I really want this item is kind of how like I would get around to things, because sometimes I have to talk myself out of things.
Machines we were interested in, and we got loads of cute little things that will forever decorate our house and accessories. Once we did have our fill of choking hazards, the wallet abuse was not over. You see, we were at an arcade.
Oh. I'm not good at the arcades.
And although the Gachapon was no longer interesting us, the various prize games were still ripe. And not to brag, but I was a master of crane games. On more than one occasion, I managed to first try prizes that were giving Echo tons of trouble. What can I say? I have magic fingers. It was a good day, and makes me wish we had these kinds of arcades in America.
I want this meat.
It's such a cute meat.
Yes!
Yeah!
Hey!
Oh, it's so cute! Look, you can take them
Yeet, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate you.
phone out.
Round meat.
Oh, that's suggestive.
Yes, I was gonna say, that looks
very sphincter.
Okay, well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that saw that. Oh, no. Oh, buddy.
All throughout our trip, we often would stop by any restaurant we'd come by that looked interesting to get food.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes that can be playing Russian roulette with your stomach. And because of this, at some point, I had unknowingly eaten something bad, and I got food poisoning, which laid me out for nearly the whole week. I would spend
That
the
sucks.
following 4 days in bed, doing nothing but sleeping and occasionally messing up the bathroom.
But not me. This is my video now. Ha ha! I went to Daiso and I got a bunch of meds to try and help him feel better because there wasn't much I could do to heal him otherwise. So I decided to go out and have a girl day. That way he could just have the room to himself. I went to an IKEA and I got a hamper. I also went to Don Quixote, which is this huge superstore where I got some really cool colored contacts. But then at one point
I go to Don Q and I buy like souvenirs for people because like they'll have stuff from like collabs and stuff like that. So like the last time I went, I bought a bunch of like Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation stuff for friends. I got some makeup for myself. I got like some random other stuff. Don Q is like, it's pretty neat. It's like the thing of like, oh, there's what is it? Bruno Mars sings like a little Don Q like jingle. They got Bruno Mars to do it. It was funny. But yeah, they'll also have like, they had like a Genshin section that had like legitimate, like the really expensive Genshin figures and stuff in there. So they'll just have like different stuff from anime and stuff like that in there.
phone nearly died, so I had to hunt down a McDonald's specifically so I could charge it, because I know they have outlets and charging stations. Once I felt like my phone was charged enough that I could use Google Maps to get home, I made my way out to the train station, and then halfway there, I realized that I forgot my bag, my contacts, and everything that I just bought at the McDonald's. So I took off running back to the McDonald's, desperately hoping that no one stole all of my stuff. It was all exactly where I left it.
Yay.
Should I explain what the Big Pooh is here?
No.
Okay. I also went out and I scouted the Big Pooh, also known as the Asahi Beer Hall, for some super secret plans I
So this is supposed to be is like the foam off the top of a beer, because it's the Asahi building and Asahi is beer. Everyone just calls it the Big Pooh.
have later.
Scoot. So yeah, I was out of commission for 4 days, to the point we basically had to cancel any plans we had for that week.
Oh, that's so sad.
Another day for me to rest, and although it did suck that I basically had to give up a couple of days of this vacation, we even had to cancel going to a ramen festival we had planned. What really sucked, on top of it all, was the weight loss. I've never really shared this part of myself publicly because it's kind of an insecurity of mine, but I've always had a hard time staying at a healthy weight. I used to be underweight fairly often as a kid, and although I'm doing a lot better now, I'm still a decent few pounds short of where I'd like to be. It doesn't help that my main job involves sitting at a computer for hours, and my main hobby involves sitting in front of a television for hours. And I just picked up another hobby that involves me sitting at a craft desk for hours. I sit around a lot, but since our trip began, I had been eating 3 to 4 meals a day.
Buddy. Everyone goes through things. I'm just kind of like, damn. I also sit around a lot, and that's the problem. I need to be more active because I have the opposite problem. Here's the thing about food in Japan. It is, I guess, kind of healthier than food here in America. They put less sugar in their food. I don't think you have a concept of just how much sugar is in American food. It's a lot. So, like, the food in Japan is healthier. It is also walking culture. So you're walking a lot. So, like, yeah, you may or may not. I've figured out, like, if I am moving around fairly often, I get hungry less. I'm less likely to, like, I eat smaller portions and I snack less as opposed to when I'm just kind of like loafing about for whatever reason. So when I'm in Japan, I often eat less than when I'm like at home. Weirdly enough. But you're gonna lose weight in Japan because you're walking and you're being more active, and the food is healthier. It's just a whole thing. So I feel kind of bad. And then he was like sick for 4 days. So like that's definitely rough.
Regularly walking everywhere, going up and down stairs all the time, carrying around all our prizes and souvenirs. I'm not saying it was a workout, but it definitely put me on a healthier routine, and I actually started to gain some healthy weight, which is why it was extra sad that while I was resting up, I could only stomach eating like 2 crackers for a given day, because anything else would have been too much for me. And so I had lost a lot of the weight that I had gained, which was kind of sad.
Why not exercise at home?
Listen. Because it's not fun. I am actively trying to exercise some. I did after my stream yesterday, like last night at like 1:30 in the morning. I went for a walk. As y'all know, I do at night often. I did go for a walk. And I'm probably not going to do that tonight because I do have to be somewhere tomorrow fairly early. But I am going to try to be more active. And I know it's like, oh, this is my New Year's resolution. I start up working out and stop because life gets in my way all of the time. It's very exhausting. I'm exhausted at myself about it. I'm not going to lie to you. But like I will get into a habit, and then that habit gets broken because I have to go on a work trip, or I have to do something, or I have to stop for this reason, or I had surgery, or like something happened, right? So I keep having to stop, and that breaks my habit, and then it's really hard for me to pick the habit back up. It sucks. I'm so sorry. Hey guys, I believe in you. You believe in me. We can do this together. Let's start working out. Anyway.
Today I was feeling marginally better, but a bit under the weather still. We finally got beef bowl, which I am still surprised it took that long to finally stop by a place, considering I would tug at Echo each time we passed by, asking if we could go, please, please, please.
I issue a lot of the beef bowl places put a lot of onions in their beef bowl, and I don't like onions. So, and you can't ask for stuff without, like you can't be like, hey, can I get this without onions? They don't do substitutions in Japan, okay? You eat it as it is. So like, that's an issue I have.
And I'm not kidding. Tied with the Yakitori place, beef bowl is probably my #1 favorite thing to eat ever. To the point we proceeded to go there the next 3 days in a row. I love it so much, we now make beef bowl at home in America. And although it's not nearly as good, I still love it. Beef bowl, my beloved.
Also, Japan does a thing where they use egg as a sauce. They use egg as a sauce in Japan. I don't eat that because I'm not really big on eggs. But they give you a raw egg, and you crack it in a bowl, and you mix it, and then you dip your sukiyaki in it. That is the thing.
Since I was feeling almost back to 100%, we decided to celebrate. We would spend the day at the arcade. And can I just go on another happy tangent real quick and say I love Japanese arcades. Sure, we have a few back home in the US, and they're fine and all, but something about the fact so many of the ones in Japan have prizes attached? I don't know, I want more of them. Echo too, maybe even more so. It's kind of dangerous. We spent so much time and energy trying to get this one bunny suit Chika Fujiwara. We don't even watch or read Love is War. Echo just really wanted it and got so tantalizingly close. But we ultimately gave up when we had spent a collective 30 tries, which probably amounted to the same amount of money it would have cost just to buy the figure.
Yep.
But to Echo, it wasn't about the figure. It was never about the figure. It was about winning. What I personally love about the arcades is they almost always had a taiko machine, and I love taiko. I love rhythm games, but especially taiko. Something about having physical sticks to bang the drums. Plus, whoever's in charge of licensing the music for the game did a fantastic job because they have banger after certified banger. They even got Klonoa tracks in there. That's how you know it's a good game.
Nice.
One thing I feel important to mention, I've been talking positively about my and Echo's experiences so far, because it was positive. But make no mistake, we have no delusions that Japan is some perfect paradise. Like any country, it has its own social, economic, and political issues. Its work culture, its rocky history with women and LGBT people, the state of its economy, and that these are problems that Japanese people are entirely aware of as well. I'm not bringing anything new to the table here. I personally don't feel informed or qualified enough to speak on them, as I'm just a foreigner. I am by no means trying to romanticize Japan. I'm also not trying to say that America is that much better either. We got our own problems, and some of this is the pot calling the kettle black.
First of all, every single country has its own problems. I've known multiple people that go over to Japan to like try to live in Japan. They teach English in Japan or they do other stuff in Japan, and then they're just like miserable while they're over there because it is not what they expect it to be. And it's like, I mean, yeah, every country has its own problems, especially in the workplace. So if you are wanting to like be one of those people that like go to Japan and you end up working in Japan, do a lot of research, look up, other people's experiences. It can be kind of rough, and it can also be rough getting out of a job once you're over there. It's a lot. I know there's like this romance of like going and living in Japan, especially if you're like an anime video game fan. But you need to like, if you're gonna do something like this, you need to go in not with like rose-colored glasses. You need to go in informed and realistic, because like a lot of times you have a contract that you sign for you to be over there for 3 years. I've definitely had people that went over there and then they had a hard time, making connections. They felt really lonely the whole time. They had a hard time being over there. And then I've had people that like didn't have that issue, and they were like, no, it's fine, because they were more like introverted, and so they were completely fine, like not really having like a quote unquote friend group over there. They were fine interacting with people like at home, quote unquote, through the internet. Like that's how they were sociable, and it was fine. So that's just a thing. I like to visit Japan. I feel like depending, y'all know I'm lazy as hell. I mean, I feel like depending on if I'm not trying to get a job in Japan. This is very important that I explain this to you. This is not a dream that I have. This is not a goal that I have. Anything like that. Cake Wolf, thank you for the follow. I feel like I would be semi-okay if like I went to Japan, just because I am a shut-in in my heart. Like, so I am okay with not having like a social circle that I can physically go hang out with. And I'm okay with also like getting most of my sociability through like online ways. So like here with you guys right now. But I know a lot of people are not like that. So that is a thing to consider, especially I've also had people that were like, they got married, they and their significant other went over there, and they were more or less fine because they could lean on their significant other when they started feeling lonely, that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, just be aware. Also, the working culture there is very different. So just be kind of understanding, I guess. And like there's like things that you can't do if you are like living and working there that you can kind of get away with if you are just visiting. Like they will report you for every slight you do to your company. Like I saw him walking around while eating, which is like a big no-no. If you work there, 100% they will report you to your company, because I knew people that this happened to. That they were late, so they stopped by like the 7-Eleven, or not even necessarily stopped by the 7-Eleven. They were eating their breakfast on the way to the train station, and they got reported to their bosses. So that is a thing to be aware of. You can do that kind of shit. I mean, it's rude, I guess, but like you could get away with that kind of stuff. Like if you're just visiting, like you're just a tourist. But if you're like working there, you cannot get away with stuff like that. So Be aware.
I lived the first 11 years of my life in an Asian country. I know firsthand what differences in culture
Tainted Rain, thank you for the follow.
a few thousand miles of land can be. We just wanted to enjoy that freshness of a different culture for a bit before returning to our normal lives. Not trying to say anything more than that. But I just wanted to mention that somewhere in here, in case people got the wrong idea that this video is Japan good, America bad.
Today was a very special day for Echo because we were finally going to Sakaido, which is a massive art supply and stationery store, where I had to hunt her down several times because she kept escaping to look at another random part of the store. And who could blame her? This place was full of so many tempting supplies to grab. Hell, I haven't touched anything traditional in years, and I still fell victim to the allure of shiny new art supplies. And so
Sketchbook you will never use. I love that.
I grabbed some cute little stamps, sketchbooks, and even had a few reference books for poses and outfit designs. This one's my favorite. The building itself was structured into having several floors, each floor specifically containing a certain kind of art supply. Like, the bottom floor was for stamps, stickers, and sketchbooks. The next floor would be something like paper of various weights, thickness, and material. And the next floor would be all pens, pencils, scissors, and paper guillotines. It was an artist's wallet's nightmare. If you want to see specifically each and every item we got, and also a few more art stuff we came across just during our stay, Echo actually has a video going through each and every one of them. It was about this time as well that we were thinking, despite coming here with plenty of space in one of our suitcases for all the stuff we wanted.
Oh, buddy. I already know what's about to happen. I take 2 suitcases and 2 carry-ons. Even if one of the carry-ons I don't carry onto the plane with me. Because, you know, you can have a carry-on and, like, a personal item. But your personal item can be a backpack, right? So, like, I will pack away, like, my backpack or whatever. And I will take, like, a roll-on bag or something. And I have 2 suitcases. I told one of my friends, like, hey, you're going to want 2 suitcases and 2 carry-ons. When he went with me, he didn't believe me. He had a big suitcase and then he had like a small carry-on suitcase. And I was like, I made some choices, my guy. And then like halfway through the trip, we had to go to Don Quixote so he can buy a bigger suitcase. Like, listen, I have enough clothes for 2 weeks and I pack like at the end, like I use my clothes as like ways to like package some of the things that I buy. So like I use my clothes as basically bubble wrap or packaging paper. When I'm leaving, because like I know I'm gonna buy a lot of shit. I'm gonna buy figures, I'm gonna buy Figmas, I'm gonna buy Nindroids, I'm gonna buy acrylics, I'm gonna buy like keychains and like maybe the occasional plushie, and I might buy some clothes while I'm there, and I might buy some shoes while I'm there, and like I buy too much. I buy too much. So I'm just saying, there's some really cool like folding bags basically that like kind of roll up that I have looked into, and I have purchased some of them, and some of them just have a snap so they don't fully close. I found some that have zippers, so they just roll up kind of small, but they have zippers. So I was like, cool, I can put say clothes in this if I run out of space for my clothes, and that can be my other carry-on item now, right? Because I'm crazy. I know I'm gonna buy a lot of shit in Japan. Like I know it. I buy books while I'm over there, like art books and shit. Dojin. Like I got a problem. I'm aware. It's fine. But you definitely have to have like, if you can, 2 suitcases. I also think I have to check, because the last time I went, it was like, okay, I have 2 big suitcases, a personal item, and a carry-on. And they were like, you can check up to 3 items for free. Like, I could have 3 suitcases. And I was like, what? What? I could check 3 suitcases? It's okay? I didn't know that. I could have bought a suitcase of Don Quixote, put more shit in it. I could have bought more. That was not the case going to Japan. Why am I leaving Japan? I can have 3 suitcases. Anyway.
To take back home, with how heavy all our things were getting and how much space it was all taken up, we would likely need to buy another one. Yep. And eventually did. Thankfully, we only needed that one.
I don't know, that pause, I was like, did you only need that one? Also, so there's like one, you can go to Don Quixote and get like another suitcase. Also, in Ueno, there is a shopping street. And the reason why I found this out is because I tried to go to the Ueno Zoo on a Monday. If you don't know, a lot of things are closed on Mondays, including the zoo. I found out after I got there and I was kind of disappointed, but it's fine. And so I walked from the zoo back to I was like, okay, I'll just walk. Like, I'm not going to go to the currently super close by train station. I'm going to walk around and explore because I can't go to the thing that I was going to go to. And there's like a shopping street. I went up and down the shopping street and it has like a bunch of stuff on it. There's a Uniqlo on there. If you don't know what that is, it's a clothing store that is also here in America. But there's like a store on there that sells like really affordable luggage. So you can get like really cheap luggage there if you ever are there and need luggage.
Today was real special, though not one that we planned. So Echo really wanted to go to the Asahi Beer Hall. Asahi being one of the largest drink producing companies in Japan. Think the Coca-Cola Company or PepsiCo if they also produced alcoholic drinks. They're also responsible for my new favorite drink of all time now, melon cream Calpis soda, which I would have to grab anytime I saw it in a vending machine, no matter what.
I always go in, so far, I have only gone in like the end of March, kind of beginning of April time, and it's kind of chilly. I always get like either there's like hot chocolate and there's like warm chocolate milk in some of these, and I would only get those things in, or if like I wanted a Coke, I would get a Coke, but for the most part, it's like, does this vending machine that has hot drinks have like the hot chocolate milk or the hot cocoa? Those are different things. I'm just saying, like, slightly. They taste slightly different. I don't know how to explain it. And then you can like walk. They keep your hands warm. It's nice.
Seriously, if anyone knows how I can get this in the US, please tell me. Anyway, being such a massive company, they have a couple of massive buildings in Sumida by the river, which are supposed to symbolize a tall glass of beer and what I assume to be a shot glass with foam whisking over the top of it, tapping together for a cheers. And yeah, it's supposed to look like foam. At least that's the intention, but...
Oh no!
Echo wanted to go to the Sky Room, a restaurant they had at the very tippy top of the beer glass, which has a gorgeous view of Tokyo. The food there was okay, nothing mind-blowing, but
I didn't even know they had a cafe up there.
I had a sausage link and some pizza, while Echo got a couple of alcoholic drinks because she was very nervous for some reason. And it was there, while we were enjoying our food, looking out over the beautiful Tokyo skyline, that I was thinking out loud. This would have been a great place for me to propose. Sorry I don't have a ring, but we'll consider this our engagement trip if that's okay.
My heart is like a jar of pickles, kinda sour, kinda sweet, soaked in brine. Sandwiched in
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, that's so sweet! Oh my gosh!
lower than a side dish, no deep fried. My heart is like a jar,
Oh.
a ball of salt that won't go by itself. No pasta to compliment, contemplating time spent sitting on the market shelf.
So yeah, Echo proposed to me right then and there. Look it, we took pictures. A place we would highly recommend if you're ever in Tokyo. Thank you, Asahi Sky Room.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
We wandered the city a bit
so
more,
cute.
and when we were hungry again, decided to stop by a ramen place at the recommendation of my best friend, buddy, pal, friendo, Shenpai. Hey, look at that, you're in the video 2 times in a row. It was called Ichiran, and it was located in Shibuya, the big city. It was quite a long line when we got there too, but when you go in, they assign you a seat along this lineup, where each person has their own little space to eat ramen. And in the center is where they took your order to prep food. They give you a little paper menu where you get to pick your noodle size.
Oh, this is the place that you don't have to talk to anybody. This is the, like, you don't have to interact with another human being. Like, not really. You don't have to ask for anything. You just, like, fill out the sheet. Oh, my God. You fill out, like, the sheet and you, like, slide it over.
Firmness, how much broth you want, the concentration of the broth, how many contents of food you want in it, the works. And I know I've said this a lot for a lot of the food here in Japan, but this is the best noodle dish I have ever eaten in my life. Thank you so much, Shen, for recommending this place. Echo and I were lamenting on the verge of tears, recalling this part to write for the video, because the noodles were just that good.
Aaron, I think.
Speaking of food, today Echo wanted to go to a very specific onigiri place called Onigiri Bongo in Toshima, which was a bit out of the ways from where we were staying, but Echo insisted we had to go. And she wasn't the only one, because when we got there, there was a hefty line to get in.
Like, we thought the ramen place was long. This was long.
This place had a reputation for being probably the best onigiri place around. And you could tell because we got there at around early evening time, and by the time we finally made it in, the sun was gone. And credit to them,
damn.
the rice balls were absolutely delicious. Was it worth waiting several hours? Echo thinks so. She sure does. She says it was worth it.
I feel like Jocat was maybe like, we could have not done this and I would have been fine.
That's what Echo says. I'm not saying they weren't delicious. Probably the best onigiri I have ever had. Would I be willing to wait the 2 to 3 hours again? We'll be ordering online next time. The final special planned event for our trip,
Valid.
the Ghibli Museum, which we weren't able to get any pictures for since they had a no camera policy once you were inside the building. We were able to take some of the outside, which still looked beautiful, what with all the greenery and overgrowth around the building. If you don't know Studio Ghibli, yes you do, shut up liar, inside
It is so hard to get motherfucking tickets for this goddamn museum, I swear to God. They keep changing how you can get tickets there, though. But now it's like a free-for-all, so good fucking luck. It, like, kept crashing the last time I tried to get tickets for it. Because, it'll go on sale, like, a certain date for everybody. Also, John, thank you for the Prime subscription. Appreciate it. So, like, everybody, including people in Japan, like, these tickets are on sale. And so it's like a free-for-all, and it is a nightmare. And I crashed. Like, the website crashed when I tried to buy tickets for them before. And I was unable to get tickets for the last time. I have been in here exactly once. The first time I went to Japan, I had a friend that lived in Japan. And if you were visiting Japan and you didn't live there, the tickets opened up earlier for you to be able to get them. And it was like a limited amount that were open for like foreigners visiting. And I was able to get those tickets the first time way back in like 2014, the first time I went. I was able to get those. But since then, it has been so hard to get it because they have changed. They no longer do it that way. So now it's just kind of like a free-for-all, and it is a little bit of pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie. Draco God, thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Inside were various rooms and displays of the process the studio goes through to make their films, including entire albums of concept art, individual frames of animations, and even recreations of Hayao Miyazaki's office. The whole building was laid out like a cozy building from one of their films. Very whimsical, very colorful, very dense with detail and clutter. And plenty of activities for kids too, including a fluffy cat bus play place, which I was kind of envious. I kind of wished that I could go into, but I'm too big. And it was for kids. So we just kind of watched them have fun. There was a section of the museum all about the illusion of animation itself. It was a dark room with various rotating dioramas, old film machines, just a bunch of cool old tech that would have been used to make animations before the streamlining of digital media came along. And at the very back of the building, they even had a theater for attendees to watch a cute little short film about two children, a human and a rabbit, and their rivalry over a playground area.
So the little short film is, I think, different every day. They play a different one every day. They have like a set amount of short films that they play only at the museum. So there are museum-specific short films. There's multiples of them. I forget how many there are. I didn't see this one when I went. I saw a different one. But yeah, so there's like multiple ones.
This is gonna sound cheesy, but that signature Ghibli vibe, the atmosphere, the feeling of whimsy and nostalgia and childhood wonder was just about everywhere in the building. And that includes the cafe outside as well. Yep, the Ghibli Museum has its own themed cafe, the Straw Hat Cafe, which was I didn't really like the food. I think the only thing that looked good to me were the french fries, which were extremely unflavored and soft. But whatever, that wasn't really a place to get lunch anyway. Regardless though, the museum itself was a great experience, and we got to keep our tickets as a souvenir, which each one was a few frames of film from one of the movies. Look, I got a bunch of fish. I think it's from Ponyo. That's the only movie that exists with fish in it.
Period. It's the only one with fish.
This was our last full day in Japan, and we wanted to take care of a couple of last things. Firstly, we wanted to dispose of all of our plastic containers from the accumulated Gachapon that we had played, so we hauled a massive plastic bag full of them, went to the Sky Tree, and deposited them into one of these large recycling stations that would have given us special bonus Gachapon pulls if only our phones were Japanese and worked with the app that you needed. Alas, we were content with just plain old recycling. For now. Secondly, we needed to pack our stuff, and thankfully, with the extra bag we grabbed, we were able to fit just about everything without too much trouble. Third, there was a place I wanted to go to finish some business I had started. You see, in the Eorzea Cafe, they stamp this little card for each drink you order, and once you reach a certain amount, you get a reward. In my case, pin of one of the, at the time, 7 main city hubs. And so Echo and I ordered some drinks, chugging them down like we were grinding for an achievement, and managed to reach the reward and nab a pin, which I decided to go for the objectively best city hub, the Crystarium from Shadowbringers. And you can disagree, but you're wrong.
And lastly, we wanted to stop by our favorite bar one last time. In Japan, there's a tradition called omiyage, basically giving your host or coworkers small, usually inexpensive souvenirs as mementos from a trip. We wanted to give the people of the Yakitori place some items we had brought from the US. An American dollar, some ranch, and scented candles from Louisiana.
That's so cute. That's honestly some ranch. Some ranch. That's so funny. Oh my god. I love that.
Actually brought quite a few things for this tradition, mostly for the place we were staying at, but this Yakitori restaurant left such an impact on us, we thought it necessary to give our thanks there as well.
That's so cute. Oh my god.
It was time to go home, and as such, we had to do something we never had to do the entirety of our trip. We had to get in a car. Yeah, much as we probably could have walked our way to the airport using the metro, we didn't want to have to haul our luggage all the way up and down so many stairs again, so
I've done it multiple times. It's doable, but it is a pain.
we grabbed an Uber and got an extremely polite and friendly driver who spoke English incredibly well, much as he would hesitate to ever admit himself. He even offered to take care of our heavy luggage and was surprised and seemed to panic a bit when we were so eager and ready to load it ourselves, not wanting to inconvenience him. As we were saying goodbye to Tokyo, he made the drive so pleasant and calming. It was nice to have a full conversation with a Japanese person as the final capstone thing we did on a trip, like a host asking us if the stay was satisfactory. I'll never forget how happy he was to hear that we had a good time staying in Tokyo. For the second time this trip, a middle-aged Japanese man single-handedly repaired my house, solved my finances, and rebooted my favorite franchise. I love him. He dropped us off at the airport and was kind enough to even load our luggage onto some trolleys, which was a surprise to us. Geez, these are so convenient. Why don't we ever use the airport trolleys back home? We checked our bags, hustled through security, waited in a building with a very yonic ceiling, and then we flew back. That was it. We said goodbye to Japan. It was a good trip.
I honestly always have like issues when I'm in Japan because like I only go for 2 weeks. I don't go for a full month because I start getting really anxiety ridden and like I miss my cats. I miss my cats. I worry about them. I'm like, they think I have abandoned them and I have not. Abby will go, either my mom or Abby will go and check on my cats, and like Abby will send me videos and pictures of them like every other day or whatever, or every 2 days, depending on what I tell her. And which I really appreciate, but I'm like, no, I miss my kitty cats. They think I've abandoned them. I have not abandoned them. I love you. Like, so I always like, I'm like, I can't stay super long anywhere because it stresses me out. I'm gonna be honest. Abby does harass the shit out of my cats. One of them mean mugs her every single time she sees Abby. Like the little orange kitty mean mugs Abby every single time Abby walks in my house. It's really funny. But I'm just like, Oh, I kind of wish sometimes that I could stay somewhere longer, but I'm like, I can't because my kitties. I love my kitties. I want to be home with my kitties. Also, just like the comfort of being home, right? It's like, no, it's so comfortable being home. It's my shower, it's my bed, it's my space. Brat cat hates your ass, yeah. But like, it is like a little melancholy when you get on the plane to come back home after a vacation that was like really enjoyable.
I look forward to going back someday soon.
Aww.
The trolley is $7.
Why don't we use the trolley? Because it's expensive. That's why we don't use it. That's so funny. That's so good. That was nice. That was a nice experience. I have never in my life used a trolley in an American airport. At least I don't think I have. I don't remember doing it if I did.
You don't need to come with, stay where you are, don't stop reopening my stitches. Watering off, you just can't mix love like a curse that will never live. Can't follow what I miss, but I just can't seem to quit this addiction. Make it stop. I don't wanna fall in love no more. It's just too much. It's just too much.
We vibe. Next time I go to Japan, I really want to go to like Kyoto and Osaka. Maybe Nara. Yeah, there are trolleys. They're not like in like, they're kind of in out of the way spaces, I feel like, depending on which airport you're in. Aw.
I like you.
I like you.
I'm excited.
Aw. Cute. Cute. I'm happy they had a good time. That was heartwarming and adorable. That was great. Love that for them.